Well, good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our Mendoza College of Business Welcome Week Academic Exploration session. We're excited to be here today to share with you some overall visions of the college, and that'll be predominantly our Dean, Martin Kremers, who does that portion. I will follow up. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, Jim Leedy, and I'll follow up with talking about our four-year curriculum plan. And then Assistant Dean Dale Neese will then transition to talk about more of the student advising, student interactions, and resources available on campus. All right, so that's the format for today. We're going to start off, as I mentioned, with Dean Martin Kremers. Dean Kremers has been with Mendoza for many years now, and he was named the dean last summer, but he served a year as interim dean as well. He's taken a lot of steps to elevate and improve the college and our stature of our programs. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Dean Kremers.
Great, thank you, Jim, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As you see, I'm wearing my mask as a reminder that all of us need to be wearing masks when we're inside our buildings. Welcome to the Mendoza College of Business. It's my great honor to welcome you. We're so excited to have you join us. We're very grateful that you've chosen Notre Dame as your college. And we're also very excited that most of our teaching this year, we very much hope and pray it's going to be done in person. We've been working very hard. Many faculty and staff have been working very, very hard to prepare for this very unusual semester, where the key thing is that we want everyone to be safe and well. And that involves doing your daily health checks. That involves wearing your masks, as I am. I'm wearing a clear mask. And it means washing your hands, and it means keeping 6 feet distance when at all possible. This is a clear mask, where the advantage is that you can still see your face. There's many other masks that I have. First, the Notre Dame one in blue. Notre Dame one in gold, lots of Notre Dame logos. I also have a special one that looks like the wave that you see on the picture. And that picture I like to use to explain a little bit about our distinctive mission at the Mendoza College of Business, where we want to teach an integrated vision of business in light of the Catholic social teachings. An integrated vision of business means the following. Think of a triad where we have the business disciplines like finance, my area, marketing, strategy, supply chain management. And then can we integrate those business disciplines on the one hand with a perspective on the human person, and on the other hand, with business analytics, big data, and AI. So the integrated vision of business is a vision that integrates those three aspects, right? The business disciplines, the perspective on the human person, and analytics or big data and AI or technology more generally. And we aim to do so in light of the Catholic social teachings or the Catholic mission of the University of Notre Dame. To give you a sense of what this Catholic mission of business entails, consider this picture, this very famous Japanese print called the wave. The wave itself signifies the very dynamic, very competitive, very dangerous environment of business. It also reminds us of the great challenges in today's world, with the pandemic, but with many other important issues that we need everyone's help to resolve. Then in the background, you see Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji stands for the spiritual meaning, or having a sense of spiritual direction in your life. If the waves are this high, and I think about the wind and the undercurrents that you can't even see, we need a compass outside of ourselves to give us direction. This sense of direction, right, in the picture is given by Mount Fuji. For us, this sense of direction is provided by the Gospels of our Lord and for business, especially as it is explained in the teachings, the social teachings of the Catholic Church. Most of this teaching of the Catholic Church as it pertains to business are Catholic with a small c, based on universal, right? Catholic with a small c, universal human principles. The key three principles are human dignity, where the business needs to contribute to human flourishing, the importance of solidarity, or taking a special focus on those with the greatest needs. That means that business needs to cooperate with all the stakeholders in solidarity. And third, that we need to grow towards the best version of ourselves in a social environment characterized by what is called subsidiarity, which comes from the Latin word subsidium, which means help. That we best thrive, we best grow towards the best version of ourselves, typically by helping others to do the same thing. But subsidiarity is also based on human freedom. The need for human development to occur in an environment of human freedom where we have opportunity to try new things, to develop, to grow as persons. How do you know if you're helping somebody or if you're interfering with their freedom? Well, you got to know the person. Okay. So subsidiarity is also an environment where we actually get to know the people that we're working with, we get to know the people that we're on the same team with. But ultimately, we need to understand what consequences our actions have for everybody who's affected by the decisions that we make. And that brings us to the third C of we need to compete with subsidiarity. And here competition has two meanings. Of course, it has the meaning of competing externally in the marketplace, including financial markets, labor markets, product markets. But at Notre Dame, we have a second, more important idea of competition, and that is that we need to compete towards the best version of ourselves. And again, we do so with the help of God and with the help of others in subsidiarity. Those are the three key universal, or Catholic with a small c, human principles that business should be based on. Then the last element in the picture are the three mailboats. That is an analogy of business. So we think of business as a team sport, right? The three mailboats go together for a good reason. If one of them gets in trouble, well, the other two can help. If you get into the boat, that means you accept an ex-ante responsibility for everybody else in the boat. So at Notre Dame, we try to teach business in light of those principles. We have an unparalleled undergraduate education in business. Our faculty are extremely accomplished. They are very devoted teachers, and they cannot wait to get to know you. So welcome to Notre Dame. We're so excited that you're here. And remember, wash your hands, physically distance, do your health checks, and wear your masks, and go Irish.
Thank you, Martin. So like Martin, I'd like to point out, I also have my mask handy. I have a Notre Dame mask, just like all of you will be getting. If you don't have them already, I'm sure you already do. But I am in my office right now, so to help with the audio over this Zoom call, I have the mask off. Before I get into the specifics of the prepared talk here, I'd like to comment a little bit, extend a little bit about what Martin brought up in his talk about preparing for this unique fall semester. Since like everyone else and every other institution, we've faced a lot of challenges with the pandemic and how it's affected our students, our staff, our faculty, and our instruction. In the spring, we dealt with it with compassion and with a lot of initiative on the part of our leadership and our faculty. This summer we transitioned, and now this fall we have a more deliberate plan going forward for the instruction. About 85% of our students in Mendoza will have one or fewer online classes, and we're very proud of that. So most of you will have, or at least most of our sophomores through seniors will have no more than one online class. And we really think that this in-person instruction is vital to Notre Dame. And that's why our behaviors, wearing the mask, washing our hands, maintaining social distancing are so critical, and doing our daily health checks are so critical to making this successful semester for everybody. Okay, so I'm also excited today because after this Zoom call, I have a first-year student, my daughter, who will be moving into her dorm today. So I'm gonna quickly change clothes and help over and do the whole dorm move-in that you guys did a few days ago. So I'm especially excited with the start of this fall semester. So as I mentioned in the opening, my name is Jim Leedy. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, and I oversee the undergraduate curriculum. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about here this morning in brief. At Mendoza, we really embrace the opportunity for you to have a liberal education in a business context. And what that means is you'll take a breadth of courses across the university, not just here in Mendoza. And as you now have your fall schedules, you can see that already starting. So about half your coursework over the 4 years of you'll be at Notre Dame will be taken outside of Mendoza with all the other colleges. And we think that's a feature that we always want to embrace and preserve. Although, taking those courses outside of Mendoza allows you a lot of opportunity to supplement your degree that you'll earn, the BBA degree that you'll earn in Mendoza, and the major that you'll select with a outside major or minors. And you can see on the slide, a lot of our students will pursue either a second major, some even pursue 3 majors, but that's pretty rare. And a lot of our students will earn minors as well. You can earn minors within the college. You can earn lots of minors out the college, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Our program is also flexible to allow you the opportunity to study abroad. All of our majors are very accommodating to students doing a study abroad semester, if you want to choose a full semester, or a shorter program, but you will have that ability to do that. It's just important to work with your advisors to make sure that you program your courses correctly and to facilitate that happening in a smooth way. Lisa, could you advance the next slide, please? So this slide shows several buckets. I think of these as buckets, and these are the courses that you'll take over the next 4 years. They will fall into one or more of these buckets, right? So you have your fall schedules. You probably have some university core requirements. Maybe you have philosophy or a theology course that satisfies the university core curriculum. So those courses you can think of dropping in that purple university bucket. When we changed the undergraduate core curriculum a few years ago now, one of the things it did was that it allowed students to have less concentration of university requirements in the first year and instead spread out those university requirements over the full 4-year program. And that's really opened up the door to a lot of academic innovation in our programming to allow you to start taking business classes earlier in your progression through Notre Dame. So the second major bucket you see there is the college bucket, and those are for college requirements. You'll be taking those starting this fall, and you'll continue to take those mostly through years 1 and years 2. We have a handful of courses you'll take typically in year 3. And in a few cases, you might even have a college requirement you're completing senior year, but predominantly you take those courses in your first 3 years here. You can see the university and the college overlap a little bit, and that's because there are some courses that can fall into both buckets. For instance, if you take microeconomics, which is a college requirement, that can also satisfy the university requirement for a social science course. So some of these courses you can count towards 2 different buckets. As you move out down and right along the slide there, you see the blue bubble there is your business major. Your business major will, in the past, you typically didn't get into your business major courses until year 3 after you'd completed the bulk of the college requirements. Now, however, with this change in the core curriculum, you'll be able to start taking your business major courses in year 2, and then you'll take those courses over your last 3 years at Notre Dame. that's really a big advantage that we see of having this more flexible curriculum across the university, and that you can get into those major level courses earlier, and that'll help better prepare you for internships and also allow you to sample and taste, what those courses are like. And if you may find out, well, it's not a good fit, and that gives you more freedom to switch to another major since it's earlier in your career. So that's the progression from university to college to your major courses. But you'll see, as I mentioned on the previous slide, about half your coursework is outside of the college. So part of the BBA degree requirements is you have electives, and most of those electives have to be taken outside of the college. And so that's the yellow bucket that you see on the slide. And then what many of our students do, as I mentioned, will structure those electives in a way that allows them to get a second major or a minor. So that's kind of the general progression of your time here at Notre Dame in terms of the coursework you'll be taking. And Dean Neese will be expanding a little bit on kind of the details on that when he presents his talk on the advising portion of this. Can you advance the next slide, please, Lisa? So what's going to be happening this year? Okay, so this year, you are business intent students, although you're not part of the business college yet, because you'll declare your college at the end of first year. But as a business intent student, we want to get you introduced to business courses so that you help your discernment process to make sure business is right for you. You'll be taking courses in other colleges, and you may, decide that your interest and your passion lies in another college, and that's perfectly fine. And that's a big advantage of taking these principal level courses, which we call the Sequent 2 courses here on the slide during our first year. And you'll also be taking our Sequence 1 courses, which are kind of the prerequisite courses to get into the college. And this has been ongoing for a long time. So we expect first year students to take all the Sequence 1 courses, which is your calculus, your intro stats, and your microeconomics. And then we also expect students during first year to take 3 of the 9 Sequence 2 courses. And the Sequence 2 courses are your principles courses and all the disciplines and a few technology courses. So you already have your fall schedules. And so this is your first year advisors have done a fantastic job of building your schedules so that everyone who is a business intent is on path to meet these targets here. As you look to the spring scheduling and beyond, just keep in mind that we need to have students get 3 of those Sequence 2 courses complete during this year. One big exciting change that affects your class is now that you will be choosing your business major during your first year in the spring. So in the past, students selected their business major during sophomore year. They would select Mendoza as their college at the end of first year, and then they'd be an undeclared major throughout their sophomore year until spring of sophomore year. So we're transitioning to this new model where first year students are going to declare their major in the spring semester of first year. As a transition, the year group right ahead of you, the class of 2023, the current sophomores will be declaring their majors this fall. So they're kind of a stepping stone between the old model and the new model. And then your class will be declaring your majors next spring. So there's a lot of advantages to having you declare your major earlier. And the biggest one, I believe, is if you're confident in what you know what you want to do, then that'll allow you to accelerate your progress through that major and get you into those major level courses earlier in your career. It also gives you more opportunity to sample major courses, and you'll get into the intermediate major level courses as a sophomore. And again, you might find that although you intended to go into a particular major, once you get into those major specific courses, you might find that you like another area of business better, and that gives you that latitude to and the ability to change. And that's the last thing I want to highlight on this slide is that although we're asking you to declare a major during your sophomore year, you're going to have full latitude to switch. I just misspoke. We're asking you to declare your major at the end of your first year. You'll have full latitude to switch your major throughout sophomore year. So don't feel it's a binding decision. It's certainly not, and you'll have ample opportunity throughout sophomore year through the discernment process. Continues throughout sophomore year as you and if you want to change your major, just come in and see your advisor, and then they can make that happen. Lisa, could you advance the next slide, please? So you're probably aware of our 6 business majors here. And the only thing I'd like to add here, though, is I challenge you to be open-minded and objective about what area of business you want to end up in. Because a lot of you probably don't know right now. You might have an indication that these 2 majors sound like they fit better to me right now, or maybe you're completely open, but some of you are going to come in dead set, you know, I want to be an accounting major, or I want to be a management major, or I want to be a finance major. And I challenge you to keep an open mind through it as you take these principal level courses, get involved in clubs and talk to upperclassmen to really find what really best fits for you. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, with our large number of electives that you're able to take in our BBA degree, many of our students will fit in second majors and minors. The only thing you can't get a second major in is another Mendoza major. So you cannot be a finance and an accounting major, or you cannot be a marketing and a business technology major. So you can only have one major within the college, but you can supplement that major with a second major outside of the college. What you see on the slide here are a few of the more popular choices. Economics, applied computational math and statistics are probably the 2 most popular majors our Mendoza students will take outside of the college, but there are many, many more that you can do. Shifting over to minors, we offer 4 minors within the college, but only 2 of those minors are open to Mendoza students. So if you're a major in Mendoza, an accounting, finance, marketing, management, business technology, or business analytics major, the only 2 minors that Mendoza offers that are available to you are innovation and entrepreneurship and real estate. You can see they're very popular. The numbers in the parentheses there indicate the number of students who are currently enrolled in those minor programs. And so those top 2, innovation and entrepreneurship and real estate, are open both to students inside Mendoza and students in other colleges. The other 2 minors that we offer are accounting and digital marketing, are only open to students outside of Mendoza. And as I'll mention on a forthcoming slide, this is part of our outreach to the rest of the university for students who aren't in Mendoza to be able to get a business component to their curriculum. If you go outside of Mendoza, there are literally dozens of minors that our students sign up for in the other colleges, and those are many of those are open to the whole university. Next slide, please, Lisa. So in my role as the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, I have a curriculum focus. And so we're always looking at ways we can improve and expand and fine-tune our curriculum to improve the quality of it. Although we believe we have a very high quality, the highest quality curriculum right now, we don't want to become complacent. We're always looking for ways to improve. So these are 3 big, broad objectives. One is expanding access to business education for all Notre Dame students, not just those in Mendoza. As you're aware, Mendoza has a cap, and not everyone who wants to get into Mendoza can get into Mendoza. So we have built new minors is one way to expand access to business education. We have larger intro sections now, so we can get students who are in other colleges into those principal level classes. We also are striving to elevate the curriculum. And in a large part, this means integrating analytics and into all the curriculum, and then integrating our curriculum across all the disciplines. So I'll give some examples of this in a minute. And then last is we're looking to increase flexibility of our programs to allow you to customize your degree to better fit your passions and your interest. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a little roadmap of some accomplishments we've made over the last year or two and where we're going. So starting with the current seniors, they were the first class that could choose these new minors that we rolled out a few years ago. So we expanded from one minor that was only available to business students to the 4 minors I just mentioned. With our current juniors, they were the first class impacted by the university core curriculum. So they experienced the 4-year business curriculum instead of the 3-year business curriculum. So that opened up a lot of doors. We also increased some flexibility in some of the core business requirements for that class, which continue on down to your class as well. As I mentioned earlier, the current sophomores, they're going to be declaring their majors earlier in a few months here. And then with your class, you'll continue that you'll be declaring your major at the end of first year. And what we're really excited about is with your class, you're going to have a fundamentals of coding course. It's part of the business curriculum for all students, all majors in Mendoza. So some of you might be excited about that. Some of you might be a little bit hesitant about that, but being able to code and being able to code is nice, but being familiar with the language of coding and the people who do the coding and the thought process that goes into coding is a new language of business. So we don't expect our students to become hardcore coders as a result of this course, but we do want to provide students with a background in coding so that when they're working with team members across their firm who are doing the hard coding, they can better integrate with those personnel. Some things on the horizon I'll just mention is we're working hard on developing scholars programs and an honors program. We hope to have those in a place where we can roll those out. So I'd expect those programs to be available to your group, but they're still under development. So keep your ears open and listen to the wave that Dean Neese might talk about, and that's where we connect with our Mendoza students. So on that note, I'll end my presentation and transition over to Assistant Dean Dale Neese.
Well, first, welcome to Notre Dame, and yes, I have my mask, but I'm in my office, so I can remove it right now. As everybody has said so far, I'm Assistant Dean Dale Neese. My job is I am your advising dean, basically the dean of academics and administration for the undergraduate students. In my office, I have the first year advisors who technically work still for first year, and they will be your advisors this first year, and you will actually be under the dean's designee will be the assistant provost, Ms. Ellie Brenner. But for us, when we do get you into the college here later this spring, we become basically your one-stop shop for all service. Our principal role is to basically, is the slide up there, Lisa? Can you bring up the plan of study slide? And our goal is to basically get you to execute this and complete it on time in 4 years. Now, this eye chart is not meant to be a test. Some people might be out there right now trying to Photoshop this or something like that. Don't worry about it because you will all get this if you haven't already seen it. Your first year advisors have this. They're building it out unique to every student. This is just a generic plan of what you would typically do in your 4 years. It's everything that you have to accomplish is there. And this is where, you know, when we were talking about the opportunities that that abound, the different majors and minors, both in and outside the college. This is your roadmap to build that all in. So you can see things on there, the courses that are all required, and then the things that are the black lettered ones are your electives. And that's where you get a lot of that free space to be able to pursue majors or minors, majors outside of college and minors inside of college. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But this is your roadmap. And in conjunction with the GPS, which is not the Global Positioning Satellite, but rather your graduate progress system, you can manage and monitor your performance and how you're doing and your track. But we're here to help you. We're the ones that are kind of editing these, watching these, working with you. This becomes a tool when you, next year, if you're thinking about international study, you'll go in and you'll manipulate this thing. This actually resides in a Google Sheets that is shared with you. No, it is not shared with mom and dad, but your students can share it with you. But this is, again, a great tool, and I think we rely on this a great deal. Like I said, this in conjunction with your GPS is kind of your roadmap and your compass. And as you go through things like when you go to register, you can kind of look at what courses you might be planning on taking. And like it always happens at registration, you may not get every course you want. So you can quickly look and say, okay, what's my backup? How about if I move something over from later on next year or this year later on into this semester? Again, it helps you make sure you're meeting all your requirements. Like I said, I don't want to go into the details of this, but it's an excellent a guiding tool for you. Next slide, please. We talked about those other majors and minors briefly. I just want to give you more of a visual of what we're talking about. So as you can see, about a third of all our business students will seek a second major outside the College of Business. And then you add in the minors, that'll get you up to over half of our students will pursue additional majors and or minors. That's not to say you have to, okay? And as a matter of fact, roughly 45% don't do that. We encourage you to follow your passion, study the things you want, but if there's another area you have a focus in and you want to concentrate in that area, like political science, this is this kind of gives you an indication of the areas that our students typically go, what percentages that they're pursuing in those majors. Again, you'll be able to refer back to this and see, but we encourage each one of you to discern on your own what it is you really like to do. Next slide, please. And I'm going kind of quickly because I think we're running out of time here, and I want to make sure we have some Q&A time. We talked about the resources. I talked briefly about our role in this office. So I have 10 other people in this office besides me. 4 advisors that will work with you as a sophomore, junior, or senior, 4 advisors that work with you in first year, a program coordinator, and administrative assistant. And our job, like I said, is to help you manage your way through the next 4 years, guide you on that. We have a wealth of experience here. I think we're probably over 100 man years of experience. We also have a website that we maintain in this office. It's the mendozaugrad.ndu.edu website. I'm not going to talk about that much right now. You can always go and look at it. But when you become, especially a sophomore and higher, this is where you'll go to do everything from scheduling an appointment with an advisor to requesting overload for a semester. If you're interested in an internship study, a special study, the list goes on. But this is a kind of a place where you can go and click on the various forms that you need. We'll also park information on there in the landing area of the events that are coming up that you can always go back and refer to. And you know, and Jim talked about it, the Wave. That is a consolidated newsletter that we put out every Sunday evening. And it's intended to sort of give you that week what is the most important things that are coming up. A refresh on things like study abroad sessions that may be coming up, orientation sessions, majors night. We will remind you of the upcoming events that are key to you. We'll also remind you of upcoming deadlines, whether it be completing ND roll call or whatever. That's a great source. So every Sunday night you should be looking for that. I think it comes out at 7:21 in the evening. There's a purpose for that. That's actually 1921 in your 24-hour military time, and 1921 is the year that the college was founded. So so you should be able to remember that. Sunday nights at 1921. We talked about the other opportunities. If there isn't a club affiliated with your area of interest, A, I find that hard to believe. But B, if that's the case, you could probably get with Student Affairs and create a new club. But there are plenty of opportunities. A lot of freshmen take advantage of the SIBC, the International Business Council, because of the introduction it gives them into some of the business areas. Is a great area for discernment. you know, right now, your biggest job, in addition to getting acclimated to being a university student, is to start really opening up that aperture on your lens to really look into what it is you want to do. What areas do you want to study? You know, where your passions lie. If you know, you should be really taking a great opportunity and not just talking to your roommates. Okay, if your source of information is purely your roommate or an upper class in your residence hall, you're probably getting the wrong advice. Tell you right now. So, but be open to things, which also gets into one of the best resources that you really need to start in early. It's never too early, and that is the Morello Family Center for Career Development, or the Career Center. It's over in Duncan Hall. If you haven't been there yet, it's a good place to walk up. It's up on, I think, the 5th floor. You've got the undergraduate is on the south side of the building, the graduates up on the north side. So when you come out of your elevators, turn left. But you go meet with those folks because they are there to help you also discern your career paths. We all know that's ultimately your goal when you graduate from here is you want to leave here and get a job and stuff like that. And you want to map your education as best as you can to where your interests lie there. Those are the folks, the team there, they work very closely with us also to help guide you with that. And again, I can't emphasize that enough. So next slide. So getting into the goal, the ultimate outcome, we've put this up here just to kind of give you we look at sort of a scorecard of how we're doing on your success when you leave here. And this is, obviously the class of 2019, this data is collected all the way up through the first 6 months after they graduate. So the class that just graduated 2020 is not done yet. But as you can see, as a college over on the left side, we do pretty good, okay? Only on average, maybe 2% are still looking for a job 6 months after graduation. And that pretty much tracks with the university average. But you can see we're heavily weighted towards actual employment in the business sector or graduate business afterwards, and like the Master's of Science in Accountancy program. If you're an accounting major, you might want to look into. But we also have students, not each graduating class, but about 20 on average alumni of the College of Business enter into law schools every year. And so we have a law advisor, one of our business law instructors is here to help anybody that might be interested in something like that. So that just kind of gives you a quick snapshot of the success rate. And next, this is kind of the last, sort of indication of the success of our team being the business school and the career center. We do pretty well as a college financially on average. And the other thing I think to take away is the geographic locations. Yes, we're a Midwest school, and hence a lot of people know and favor the Midwest. Chicago, obviously, being heavy is in weighing those statistics with jobs and stuff like that. But we're all over the place. This is a national university with national placement. So you have all kinds of opportunities there. I think that's it on the slides I want to present. We'll talk about questions. Again, welcome to Notre Dame. We're excited to have you here. As I said, unfortunately, Lisa and my team, we won't actually get our hands on you until probably late spring when you move into the college and get ready to register for your sophomore year. And that's where we will begin to work with you closely and take the pass off from our first year advisors. But like I said, they're literally 10 feet from, well, maybe 20 feet from my office inside of here. So we're all in touch together. So again, thank you. And I'll turn it over to Lisa to coordinate the Q&A.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're pleased that you're able to join us this morning. And as Dale mentioned, my name is Lisa Hemming, and I'm an Assistant Director Advising and Administration in Mendoza College of Business. And I've been working at Notre Dame for 14 years and 3.5 now with undergraduate students. So we're going to start off with the Q&A. So if you do have a question, please type it in the chat session, as Jim Leedy mentioned earlier in the presentation. And the first question came asking specifically about the new coding course and when would you implement that as part of your 4-year plan. So I'll pass it over to Jim.
Thanks, Lisa. So the coding course will start off at a small scale this spring. So this is a brand new course. The ITAU department has been working on it for several years now. We're very excited about it. So this spring, there'll be a few pilot sections that will roll out. And then next fall, when you guys enter sophomore year, that's when it'll roll out full strength. So again, this is a course that all students in Mendoza will take, starting with your class. So some of you will get the opportunity to take it this spring, but most of you will be taking this during sophomore year.
Okay, great. We have another question from Mark Holowicki. May he receive a minor or double major in the College of Engineering in addition to a degree from Notre Dame? And I'll pass that to Dale. Dale, if you'd like to answer that. Oh, you're still muted, Dale.
I want to make sure I understand. Can you pursue a double major in College of
Can
Engineering?
he do Mendoza and engineering together?
No, right now that is not an option. That is the only school, that and architecture really are the only schools or programs that we don't have a secondary major requirement. And it's because the amount of course content that doesn't overlap between the two. And you basically end up in a situation where you need probably about 180 credit hours to make that happen. So ours is a 4-year program on that note. Now, having said that, there are other opportunities. If you opt to stay in Mendoza, you won't be able to major in engineering, at least, like I said, for the foreseeable future, because there's no joint major or anything that's been arranged yet. If you stay in business, you could pursue a minor, like the engineering corporate practice minor, which is run out of the College of Engineering, but 2 of our courses are part of that minor. You can also be in the College of Engineering and maybe take one of our minors, like the accounting minor or the digital marketing minor, or even entrepreneurship or real estate. Yeah, the first 2 I mentioned, though, I think are more business, the classic business focus. And so those are the opportunities if you are an engineering student. Again, if you're business, you're not going to be able to do much over in the College of Engineering, but there are some minors and like in computer digital technologies and stuff like that are available out there that you can possibly join and enroll in.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dale. Next question.
Lisa,
yes.
I'll add that, and correct me, Dale, if I need to be corrected, but there's also a graduate opportunity that you can major in engineering and also get an MBA degree through Mendoza.
Yes, that's actually inside the College of Engineering. It's a dual Bachelor of Science Engineering and MBA program. You have to apply for it. There's nominally about 5 students, I think, enrolled in that program. It's not run out of our office at all. It would be with engineering working through Mendoza on the graduate business side. But yes, that is an option. If you're a strong student and you're really focused on engineering and business, that is another option you can consider pursuing.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Question.
By the way, that typically takes about 5 years to do that.
Correct. A question, I'm going to pass this to Jim, is from Kaylor Siepersad. It's really asking the difference from a finance perspective between corporate finance. What's the difference between corporate finance, investment banking, and private equity?
Okay. So again, I could spend an hour talking about this. I'll try to do it in about 30 seconds. But when you're working with corporate finance, you're working with these name brand companies that you know. So Target, Ford, GE, Stryker, a lot of these companies, every company has a finance team that works closely with their accounting team. So if you're going to corporate finance, you're going to overlap functionally a lot with accounting. So a lot of our students who are undecided between accounting and finance fit well into a corporate finance area. And it's an area where you have a lot of opportunity to pursue different functional areas within either a same company or a similar industry. When you look at investment banking, it's a very popular, probably the most popular option for our finance graduates. You're going to work in the big banks, right? So these are the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgans, or smaller boutique investment banking firms. And you'll probably be working in a large city. We place heavily in New York and Chicago, but many other cities as well. And it's a grind your first few years. They typically get 4 years of work out of your 2 years that you're there. But it's a completely different business model. you work at a firm for 2 years and then you leave that firm and go work somewhere else. But you get a lot of great experience in those first 2 years. Private equity is where a lot of our students want to end up that go into investment banking. And that's where you're working with, a company that invest in other companies and they manage other companies. So private equity typically doesn't hire directly out of undergrad, although that's changing a little bit. We do have some of our graduates going directly to private equity, but the typical path is to go work investment banking if private equity is your goal, and then transition to private equity at 2 or 3 year mark after you graduate.
Another quick interesting statistic, there was a study done by the Fortune 500 CFOs, Chief Financial Officers, which of course head up the corporate finance side of the business. And of those, 40% were accounting undergrads. Only 9% were finance. So if you're really interested in the corporate finance side of things, accounting is a big feeder for, like I said, at least all the way up to the CFOs.
That is correct. You never have enough accounting. So moving on to the next set of questions. Jim or Dale, related to the coding course, has that been approved for the Liberal Arts 2 requirement, or is that still being reviewed?
Let me take that one, Lisa. So
Okay.
It's being reviewed. It's under consideration right now. We expect it to be. And what that means is if it does get approved to be the quantitative reasoning course.
The science.
No, the science course. Thank you, Dale. It count as one of your science course, then you would not have to take a different course like astronomy or something in the College of Science. Our coding course would count towards that. So we're working towards that. We expect that to happen, but it's an administrative process that takes some time. So we'll keep students updated as we progress.
Great. Thank you very much. A question from Caroline LaBelle. It's questioning about ACMS and if the second major is benefit for job placements, especially for finance majors. And I can address that. Right. We're seeing, so the most popular in the past has been economics as a second major in conjunction with finance, but we're seeing an uptick with ACMS. But Jim or Dale, if you could, anybody expand on that?
Yeah, now if that slide I showed earlier, you'll see that the College of Science had like 158 students majoring over there, and the College or Economics had about 167, similar numbers. When you go and look and break down the College of Science, it's almost all in the math, ACMS, stats, or anything else. Both of those are popular because there's a significant number of overlap courses, anywhere from like 3 to 5 courses overlap. So a lot of students like that because they can get that second major. We also find that I think most students that come to Notre Dame, a lot of you have strong math backgrounds. You enjoyed math in high school and stuff like that. You get here, you kind of have an interest in that still. So you sort of start down that path and keep active in the math. Yes, it's also great in support of analytics, big data analytics, and understanding the data, so like that. So it marries up well, both of them, with business. In terms of the job placement and everything else, I've never seen any data that correlated that directly. I will tell you that I've seen some pretty, some of our top graduates did not have second majors, and went into some great jobs. So I think a lot of it depends on how well you do as a student, depending on what jobs you want to be most competitive for. And so the key is just success performance-wise academically, more so than trying to fill up a ledger with all these, accreditations or, stuff like that. So success at first, and but like I said, they're both great majors, and ACMS has grown in popularity significantly.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dale. Quick question from William O'Neill related to Bloomberg certifications. And Jim, what are your thoughts on, is it important or helpful for that certification? Oh, there you go.
Dale just mentioned a little bit about accreditations and credentials that students can pursue. And of course, they certainly don't hurt. But we find that our students who kind of just go through our normal program without picking up extra credentials along the way, what really places them well is their success in the program they're in. So if a particular credential like a Bloomberg certification is inherently interesting to you, it certainly would not hurt. It's going to help at the margin, I think, especially for certain jobs. But I wouldn't be focused on accumulating credentials. Instead, as Dale mentioned, I would focus on achieving success in your primary program.
Great, thank you very much. Next question from Kevin Lee. First from Michelle Lee. Can a Mendoza student take more than 3 of our Sequence 2 courses during the first year? What's your thoughts related to that?
Sure. The answer is yes. We actually encourage and would like everybody to see him taking 4. So you have that more opportunity to discern and also maybe get into your major courses a little earlier. It's a function of how much AP credit you have brought in and how you're applying that and stuff like that, how you can fit it into your schedule, because there are certain things you have to do. We need you to complete all the BA01, which we call that's your principles of microeconomics, your calculus, and your principles of stats. If you've already got those knocked out with some sort of AP credit or something, testing credit, and you don't want, and you're not worried about a second calc class for other majors, and you can start into more what we call the BA02 courses, the sophomore principal courses. Yeah, the more the merrier. I will tell you right now that all of you are in 1 course. About a 4th of you are in 2 right now. Okay, and there's a couple of you are in 3. So yeah, if we can make it fit in your schedule, the more the merrier that first year. And again, 4 is kind of our target.
Great. Thank you very much, Dale. A question from Kevin Lee, and I'll take this one. With the global pandemic, what's the prospect of international studies? And if we all had the power to view into the future, we would have that answer. But unfortunately, until we see the impact of a potential vaccine or where things go in terms of the prospects of study abroad. So the plan is that the university is planning for that. I know that, so that's really our students study abroad typically during their junior year. And so hopefully at that time when you're applying to study abroad next fall for your junior year, things will have settled down. So Jim or Dale, do you have any additional insight in that?
Yeah, this spring is currently on the books. It has not been canceled. We've actually put a few more students into it that got dropped out of the fall. But again, it's hard to say where things will go. Yeah, university's committed to trying to do that if we can.
Great, thank you very much. What's the most popular supplementary major in Mendoza? And I'll address that and have Dale chime in. It's really dependent on your interest. It's not necessarily an option that you're checking the box to add it to your resume that I have a second major or minor. It's really based on interest, but our students are all over the board from, more popular economics and ACMS, but a lot of Spanish, political science. It really depends on your interests. So Dale, do you have other additional insight?
Yeah, if you're just looking at the numbers, you would say that economics or international economics is the highest in terms of total numbers. But again, I think a lot of people just do that because they think there's an affiliation between the two, but it's not necessarily the case. I would say study what you want. I like it when we have our music majors and they're out there performing,
Exactly. Okay.
I would add to that, Lisa, that
okay.
Having a second major that's not the same flavor, like finance and econ are almost the same flavor. Having a second major that's different can show the breadth of interest that you have to when you're in interviews or to different employers. So I think there's an advantage to that as well. And also, as Dale mentioned, allows you to pursue other passions that you have.
Correct. Thank you very much. A question from Justin Dirk. How do you get involved in SIBC? So our recommendation is they're having a student organization fair coming up shortly, and you'll be able to sign up on their listserv, and they'll be hosting information meetings. And that's the best way as a first-year student to be exposed to that organization. You'll sign up for different projects that you may be interested in, and then follow that process through in the fall and then again in the spring. If you continue with that project or different projects during sophomore year, you may become a project lead, and it's a great way for you to get exposure to different types of businesses and different industries, as well as leadership skills for you to even potentially be selected to be on the travel team to actually present your results to that company. So a number of our students, a high number of our students participate in SBIC or SIBC, sorry. Okay, so related to, I was considering double majoring. This is from Donald Wallace, double majoring in finance and ACMS. Would you mind explaining how ACMS major would help in the finance industry?
Well, I'll let Jim ask the specifics of that. I would say, I'll let him address that, but I'd say one thing to all of you. Those of you that are interested in pursuing that, you should make sure you're talking to your first year advisors to make sure they have you in the right math courses, so you're not taking a course that you basically have to throw out. So you make sure you really understand that path with your first year advisors and stuff like that. The other thing is you should probably talk to the ACMS department and get a better feel for their major and stuff like that. But Jim, I'll let you answer anything specific about,
I would just add broadly that many finance jobs are quantitative heavy. Not all finance jobs, but if you want particular jobs in investment banking industry, more so than probably corporate finance, but strong quantitative skills is a strong characteristic that employers are looking for. And so ACMS will develop those skills. So I just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question from Paul Stoller. Can you talk more a little bit about the intersection between Mendoza and majors in the College of Science? He's specifically interested in neuroscience. I know from experience, a number of our students will work to be on a pre-science track and working to fit the science requirements in with their business classes. But I'll be honest, it's a very full plate related to the number of courses in terms of your not calculus, but your chemistry and your biology and all the other requirements. But Dale, do you have additional insight into that?
Yeah, it is a very technical and it has a few extra credit hours involved there that don't really overlap. I would say if you're a student that has a passion for that, real interest, and you go for it, it will help if you have a lot of AP credit. Some of you come with tremendous AP credit. By getting the AP credit, you might be able to take, you can't apply it towards university requirements, but say inside the college, the calculus, the stats, the things like that, we take that. So that helps you free up space to where you can now take other courses. We do have a couple neuroscience behavior majors, it's offered both in the College of Arts and Letters and in science. So you can look at both of those options. And we have students in Mendoza go to medical school every year, okay, that they'll do business and they'll pursue that like a bioscience or a general science type study and take the courses and prep for the MCATs and everything else. So, if you are interested in that, you can do it. The number of students in the neuroscience right now are small. I'm probably 2 to 4 across the college, to be honest.
Lisa, I'd add that another option is to pursue the neuroscience degree as an undergraduate and then get a business degree as a graduate student. So I teach in our Master's of Science and Management program in the spring, and one of my students this spring was Anna Rohr, who's one of our All-American track athletes, aspiring Olympic athlete. She was a neuroscience major as an undergrad, and then she came back for a 5th year to get the Master's of Science and Management degree to complement her neuroscience background with business skills. And so there are graduate options as well to complement your undergraduate degree.
Great, thank you very much. And I just realized we've lost track of time, so it's actually 11:03, and I wanted to, respectful of everyone else's schedule today, especially when it comes to orientation. I have documented all of the questions that were remaining in the queue, the few lasting questions, and I will respond back to you directly. So no worries on that. So you'll get an email from me with that information. But I will pass it back to Jim Leedy.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for taking a time out of your busy schedule. I know orientation's got a lot going on right now, and there are parents zooming in from home and work. So we appreciate your time. Hopefully you've learned something. We've added both some of the nuts and bolts questions and also some of the flavor of the culture and passion we have here at the college. I just would like to end that as you go through your first year, keep an open mind, keep focused on academics, and work closely with your first year advisors to, as your interests change, just make sure your advisors are aware of your interests as they're changing. Stop by the Career Center. They can help you, especially your first 2 years. They focus on career discernment rather than job placement. And they can help you, that career discernment may also help you as you, along with your major discernment process. So I'm excited for all of you. And please, keep in touch, and we will look forward to you joining the college formally at the end of this year, at the end of this academic year. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.